won't react. You whispering my name, thinking I won't be the same. Turn fiction into fact. See what you didn't know, bruises that I'll never show, slipping on your every jab. So tighten up your fist, step into the ring with this. I hope your mama's got your back. First round, you thought you would've knocked me down. Fifth round, bleeding out the side of your mouth. Final round, holding the sound of my name in the crowd. You didn't bust. Oh, 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 oh. You didn't bust. Oh, 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 oh. Just 'cause I took a break, you're making a huge mistake, thinking you can take the throne. Look at you trembling, step into the lion's den. Bet you wish you stayed at home. Begging for mercy underneath your breath when I ain't even sweating yet. My legend's written in the stone, yeah. You're crying danger in defeat is now your only friend. Even your mama's gotta know. First round, you thought you would've knocked me down. Fifth round, bleeding out the side of your mouth. Final round, holding the sound of my name in the crowd. You didn't bust. Oh, 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 oh. You didn't bust. Oh, 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 First round, fifth round, final round. Oh, 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 yeah. First round, fifth round, final round. No, 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 no. First round, you thought you would've knocked me down. Fifth round, bleeding out the side of your mouth. Final round, holding the sound of my name in the crowd. You didn't bust. Oh, 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 oh. You didn't bust. Oh, oh,
Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone, to In Time. My name is Nicholas Lamar Suter, and we are covering the arraignment of Donald J. Trump. We believe that's his motorcade right there. It did just arrive. A number of doors opened and people came out. Trump was not among them. So that may also be a separate motorcade bringing him back. I don't know. There is a lot to unpack about what is going on today and what we are expecting. So, and there's already been a few incidents that I'd like to show if we have time. We'll obviously cut immediately to the arraignment if that happens, but there's been a lot of arguing, a little scuffling, nothing serious out in front. There are both protesters and counter-protesters for and against Trump. We've had some footage of them lock him up, being... And then, if you want to see our country get destroyed, vote Democrat. Any number of things going on. And, it looks like... So now I don't know so we're going to talk about the judge that he's facing here in just a minute. And what I'd like to point out about the judge, this is, Michelle Ferguson just asked the question that this is, yes. So, here's the interesting thing. The judge in this case is, and let me just, and we actually have a couple of different feeds. We've got this one going right now. We may swap depending on, all right, stand by. I just want to make sure that we're covering. All right. No, we're good. We've got AP, Reuters, and a few other feeds coming in, and it just occurred to me maybe next time might be nice to put all of them up simultaneously, but I figure you guys want to see what's going on. At any rate, so the judge in this case, rather than in Florida, this is going to be tried in D.C. The judge in this case is Tanya S. 𝐍𝐢𝐜𝐡𝐨𝐥𝐚𝐬. I probably pronounced that incorrectly, and this is a little different than the last judge. The last judge was so biased towards Trump, and she has bent over backwards and really torpedoed the case against him early on by Jack Smith. They were able to recover. They appealed her decision. A 3-judge panel, 2 of them appointed by Trump, not only overruled her decision, but said that it was absolutely terrible and undermined the principles of justice in Florida, and they were correct. I've never seen a reprimand that harsh. I'm sure there have been ones that harsh, but she is biased as all hell, barely able to function. At any rate, that is the documents case in Florida. This judge is a little different. Tanya S. Now I'm going to call her Tanya. I hate to do that with a judge, but I think at this point it's better than me murdering her name repeatedly. I don't even feel comfortable doing that. So Miss 𝐍𝐢𝐜𝐡𝐨𝐥𝐚𝐬, I don't know, but she's interesting. She has tried several dozen of the January 6th rioters already. She has tried them. She is the only judge of the ones who have tried them who have actually returned harsher sentences than the prosecution was asking for. In one case, older couple, the prosecution recommended that they get 6 months house arrest. And they've been convicted, recommended 6 months house arrest. She said no. She said essentially that she believed that while they didn't plan on doing anything that day, they were members of the mob. And if the mob went out and murdered people and you were participating, doesn't matter what you were planning. And she argued that they knew when they were stepping into the Capitol, they were going over broken glass, through broken doors. They didn't get their hands stamped. They weren't going through security. They knew that they were breaking into the building. And while maybe everybody else was doing it, that's not an excuse. What she added to their sentence, they got the 6 months house arrest as the prosecutors had requested, but she added parole and 15 days in jail. Now that, I think we hand out way too much time in jail, and there's a lot of psychological evidence backing that up. It's actually a very bad idea. This tough on crime thing, jail is a horrific thing, and your brain doesn't process much past 3 or 4 years in jail. It doesn't process it. If you tell someone that they're going to spend 6 years in jail or 20, it's not like 3.5 times worse. Your brain doesn't process it that way. It's only seen as a little worse because in both cases, your life is essentially over. So she demanded that they get the 15 days because she said you don't get to break into the Capitol and not get jail time. So She's a tough judge. And Trump has actually already been before her once before. This was the judge when Trump tried to deny the January 6th committee access to his files on the grounds of executive privilege. This was the judge they went before, and she laughed it out of court and said no. So first of all, she shouldn't be the one deciding executive privilege. The executive branch should, so that's Biden. So if Biden wants to exercise executive privilege, that's his purview, but she's not going to do it. She doesn't have the ability, and she laughed them out of court. Said a few other things too, but she's been very aggressive in her dealing with January 6th. That's his judge. I expect there's going to be an attempt. Well, I don't know. So here's the thing: if you're Trump's attorneys, do you try to boot her because she's biased or not? Well, it's hard to show bias. She's been aggressive towards the January 6th folks, but they were all convicted. So unless he's going to admit that he was responsible for January 6th, and of course it's not that cut and dry, but having said that, you're kind of implicitly saying that when you say that's the reason you should go before a different judge. The reality, too, is she was confirmed 95-0 by the U.S. Senate. Back in a day, seems like a lifetime ago, that we could actually all work together. That's his judge. If I were the defense team, worst judge you could get. She was picked from nearly 24 judges in the district. She was picked at random, as was the very pro-Trump judge in the documents case. He is in extraordinarily serious fucking trouble. The other thing is, at this point, we believe there's a very real chance he's going to be brought in cuffs. Why? Because this judge has said repeatedly that, in fact, let me reiterate what she said in his last one. She is unimpressed with Trump. She is unimpressed with his previous office. And presidents are not kings, she wrote, and the plaintiff is not president. This was her rebuke of his attempt to keep the previous documents that he had under wraps so that they could not be seen by the January 6th committee. Presidents are not kings, and the plaintiff is not president. Oh, she is not impressed. So I have a feeling if he's not brought in cuffs, and if he doesn't get a mugshot, she's going to ask why. Everybody's supposed to. He wasn't last time. I do get the argument why you don't do it. He's a public figure. I'm actually kind of against the fact that mugshots should be made public. The only reason nowadays that making them public is important isn't so that you can identify people. It's so that you can mock them and say, well, here's their mugshot. But it violates innocent until proven guilty. You shouldn't be able to mock people for getting arrested unless you're assuming that they actually did what it was, or they, look like it's mugshots are a terrible idea, making them public. Having said that, right now we do, and I want his fucking mugshot. For all the disingenuous reasons why absolutely they shouldn't be made public, but they are. He should go through it just like everybody else. I'm going to check the live chat, and then we're going to get into what we've seen in the indictment and what's going to happen, but I think he is in deep shit trouble. The other thing is, we know that Jack is going to ask for an expedited trial. My suspicion is he's going to get it. In terms of the documents case, he wanted that to begin in December. It's been pushed to May. That seems terrible. It ain't great. But they wanted it pushed back till after the election. So it's at least a compromise. I don't think this judge has any interest in compromising. I think she wants a speedy trial and she wants this done. She's gone through a number of the January 6th, again, dozens of January 6th cases have gone before her, and she seems to take them very seriously and want to go by them as quickly as possible. So I suspect this one is, and she don't play. So this is if I were his lawyer, I would just I would just drop the sheet reading this and be like, fucking really? He could not have drawn a worse judge. I can't believe in his statement on the thing made calls to Nazi Germany. Holy shit. All right. So, we also have, there's word that Melania either has flipped or that he's got some issue with her. I don't know what that is. We're looking into it. That's all he needs. That would make my day. There's something happening with Melania. We're not sure what it is. We're following up on it. It may be she just slapped him. I don't know what happened. My understanding is he's got a significant issue that could imperil him with Melania. We don't know what it is. Yeah, she may also have be part of the testimony. I don't know. I did want to play this, and I want to see if I can find this really quickly. This is going back a few minutes. So we had Trump coming in. So let's see. These are, I think they've been keeping one set of protesters on one side, counter protesters on the other. This is from Associated Press, and honestly, the Associated Press is carrying a somewhat more muted coverage. There's been some other incidents where you can see, you can hear yelling, and you can see the people have been. It's been quite contentious. What we're seeing from the Associated Press, I think Reuters was showing us somewhat more aggressive thing. Let's listen to what this is going on right here.
We came here as slaves. We got the right to come over here because of us. The Nazis took the right act. That's right. You know, he got Joe here. Stop Donald Trump. Stop Donald Trump.
Yeah, we've also they mentioned Hunter Biden. We've heard a little bit of the testimony from Hunter Biden. Apparently, was the full thing released? Sorry, I got to check this. So the Devon Archer transcripts apparently have been released. I have not seen them, but my understanding is that those transcripts and the transcripts from what he told the committee are the exact opposite of what they said they expected from him. They expected him to testify that he was doing pay-for-play schemes and all that other good stuff, and in reality, what he said was that people had tried to get him to do that, and he refused. All right, I did want to play this moment. This is a lawyer. I don't believe she's associated with the case in any way. I think they just caught her on the street and she looked pretty, so they decided to ask her some questions. Let's hear what she has to say.
People know how to do. They just whine around that they didn't get the white privilege. Oh, the poor white privilege didn't win them an election. The poor white privilege didn't win an election. The poor privilege.
Crime there. The difference is what he did to try and switch the votes.
So what is it that he did to try and switch the votes that you refer to? By bringing cases, by using the law in an appropriate manner, unlike what we're sitting here today seeing? This is not appropriate. What President Trump did is he said, go patriotically and peacefully and protest. That is an American right. That is why we are America and we are not a third world country. Although I will say that today, I don't feel very much like we are in America. Yes.
This case should go forward before or after the 2024 presidential election?
I think that every court needs to look at this as a whole, right? It's not about the January 6th case. It's about the fact that in the matter of a couple months, we have seen them try and tie up, and me as an attorney, I've never seen this, tie up one individual who's running a campaign, running for office for president, so that he is in court, in depositions, and distracted, so that he won't properly run for 2024. And frankly, it's not going to work.
Is the legal team
like I said, I have no idea who she is. Apparently she's a lawyer. But yeah, I'm sitting there saying, like, this is what I'd expect a spokesman to say. That's what I'd expect his lawyer to say. Any lawyer, this is the indictment, which you can find, by the way, on our Discord. So go in and check it out. You can download it. It's a PDF. We're also going to make it available on our website. We very much encourage people to take a look at it and read it for themselves. But on one of the things is this is masterfully written. It's and it's a little weird. I wonder how much LSD I must have done when I'm watching. I did. I admit I watched Fox News because I wanted to see how their response was to it. And if any of you do imbibe any illicit or illegal substances, especially psychedelics, and you feel like they're too expensive, watch Fox News for about 3 or 4 minutes. It has the exact same effect, and you don't have to pay anything except maybe a little bit off of your sanity scraped right off the top. But at any rate, oh my God, at some point I'll get into what they're saying if we have time. But on page 2 of the indictment, it answers exactly what she said. So she obviously didn't finish page 1. The defendant has a right, like every American, to speak publicly about the election and even to claim falsely that there had been outcome-determinative fraud during the election and that he had won. He was also entitled to formally challenge the results of the election through lawful and appropriate means, such as by counts or audits of the popular vote in states or filing lawsuits challenging ballots and procedures. Indeed, in many cases, the defendant did pursue these methods of contesting the election results. His efforts to change the outcome in any state through recounts, audits, or legal challenges were uniformly unsuccessful. The problem is what he did after that. Either this lady doesn't know it, which means, again, she hasn't read past page 2, or just doesn't give a fuck. Your opinion is as likely to be right as mine. So we are waiting. Again, for those of you just joining us, he drew the worst judge he could have drawn. She already denied him on January 6th and said presidents are not king and the defendant is not president. She is thoroughly unimpressed by Donald Trump and has apparently in a number of the previous cases suggested that were it not for Trump, none of this would have happened. So they may attempt to argue that that makes her biased. I think they're going to have a couple of problems with that. But I think that's where they're headed. What is so unique about today? Isn't it just another indictment? No. This isn't the first time a former president of the United States has been indicted. That was about 3 months ago when Donald J. Trump was indicted in a civil action brought by, I think it was Letitia James of New York against them. No, Letitia James is I think a Southern District, Manhattan District Attorney. There's a lot of indictments. You'll have to excuse me. That was the very first time a former president was indicted. Then he was indicted on the documents case, but it was the first time a former president was ever indicted in a criminal case. This one was criminal, and he faced, obviously, jail time and a very different thing. So he has the first indictment, and now he has the first criminal indictment. And then yesterday, he made another first when he was the first former president to be indicted for crimes that he is alleged to have committed while president of the United States. The documents all happened after he was out of office. This case accuses him of, as president, attempting to overthrow the election. Now, I had made some predictions. Some of those predictions were very, very wrong. We'll talk about why they were done the way they were and what we've learned since then. I thought he was going to throw in the whole. So this is interesting. It's been taking a lot of unpacking. This is interesting. In Time Show, do you think Trump will sue the government for obstructing his campaign? Good question. No. For a couple of reasons. First of all, at this point, I think he wants to keep the lawsuits down to a minimum. He's got financial problems, although right now he's pilfering all the donations to his super PAC to pay for his legal fees, which technically you can do. It's not illegal. But, wow. And Bill Barr, who I really detest. Bill Barr has been doing the right thing a lot recently, which I appreciate. But he still goes on Fox News, and he still does the wrong thing when he goes on Fox News. And he hasn't come to terms with the fact that the Mueller report was absolutely right and should have been followed up on, and he's the one who killed it. And he came out yesterday and said that he had thought at first that Trump really did believe that he had won the election. That's what he said. He said, I thought he really did, but the more I watched, the more I learned, no. He knew he had lost and he was doing all of this shit. And he said that Trump's taking of his money from his re-election campaign to pay his legal costs was one of the most disgusting things he'd ever seen. And Bill Barr is going out and doing all these things. And as a former Chief Justice, that's great. But he lied to support Trump and to help Trump. He killed a case that had a chance of ending all of this before it happened, and that was completely legit. It's crystal clear that the Mueller report was well done and accurate. And if he didn't know it then, Bill Barr should know it now. You don't get points for finally coming around to the right side, at least unless you admit your previous mistakes and fucking try to correct it. So I am unimpressed with Bill Barr, but at least he's on the right side now. And it sounds like, I mean, he has been throwing Trump under the fucking bus. So good for him. And he is not one of the co-conspirators, but only because he refused the order by Trump to tell the states that the election was rigged. And that they had to do it again, which, let's assume was true. Still doesn't have the authority. The federal government doesn't oversee the election. It's the states that oversee it. He cannot do that. Even if he could, it wasn't rigged. So, utter horse shit all around. And Barr's an intelligent man. That's another reason why Barr is on my shit list, because he can't claim he was too stupid to know what the hell was going on. He can't. He can't. At any rate, let's see. We were talking about criminal. Yeah, well, and there's Giuliani is of course going to be. Okay, let's hear. I do want to hear what's going on right now. It looks like Trump has not yet arrived.
Thank you. Lock him up. Lock him up. Lock him up. Lock him up.
Barr is reinventing himself. Yep, exactly. All right, looks like we lost the AP feed. Let's see. This is ABC. This is USA Today. And it's basically the same shot. We did want to... this is Reuters. And we've been getting... Reuters has been far more interesting. And we've seen a lot. They seem to actually really be right in the thick of it. So, disingenuous Titan, disingenuous redemption arcs are common now. Yeah, they are. What was that one? Where somebody artificially constructed it, and they're like, yeah. All right. So, let's hear what's happening with the Associated Press here.
Say that when they're using it, like streams really slowly on video and conference calls versus Zoom. I don't know.
No, they're chanting "lock him up." They're Now, honestly, these crowds are not nearly as big as I had expected. They're going to be animated, but they're not as big.
I was like cool because it's like, I don't know, it's like, I don't know, user friendly. Yeah. You don't have to laugh like something. And then when you invite, and then I feel like also, like if you invite other people, I feel like when you invite
that probably leaving is imminent because I walk down this path and just not long.
Ouch! Oh, Dick! Ouch! Oh. All right. So, like I said, I do think he's actually there. AP was nice enough to. I don't know how they tracked the plane, but there's a shot of the underbelly of the plane, and it's like a 5-minute shot. So I'm like, either that plane is just circling over the camera, or they have another plane underneath. I don't know how they got it. But it's like AP's taking this a little seriously. The plane. Okay, Trump is in that plane. It may land in 5 minutes. It may not. Yeah, maybe a drone. I have to believe drones in D.C. is a big no-no, but hey. All right, so let's take a look at the charges. He's got 4 counts. So one of the interesting things is I had thought he was going to get lots of charges, lots of counts, and they were going to hit him with everything. They did not, and it was very good that they didn't. I very much approve. His plan was much better than mine. Mine was just like, throw everything at him. And no, first of all, they've hit most of it under these 4 umbrella charges of just conspiracy, and all these other crimes are just going to be elements of that conspiracy. But one of the reasons that they did not charge him with absolutely everything, and this looks like it's everything, it's not, because it's these huge umbrella things, and they're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the smaller ones, but they're not charging him individually with all of the smaller crimes, fraud, also the way he redistributed money, he's got financial crimes, all that other shit. Why not? Because that can always be added in other indictments later. These are the most serious crimes in the most serious umbrella terms, with the possible exception of treason or some other thing, which for whatever reason they decided not to go with. This has been a very aggressive prosecution. Mr. Smith is very experienced, and he clearly goes straight for the jugular right out of the gate. So one of the reasons that he probably split it up is because he knows that if he does one huge indictment with absolutely everything, it's going to take a lot longer because you have to prove and argue each element. So instead, 4 conspiracy counts just has to show the conspiracy, and he can try to show 30 different crimes, and if he succeeds with only 4 of them, as long as they're elements of the conspiracy, they've got him. So this maximizes how quickly they can go after him and do serious damage to him, minimizes the amount of work they have to do to get him on something very, very big. And they can still, in separate indictments, go after financial crimes. They can go after, so the general consensus, at least my understanding of the general consensus at this point is, this is just the beginning. We're going to see more indictments. We're going to see more indictments very soon from Mr. Smith. But the reason he didn't put them all in one is so that the biggest, hardest hitting one can go first and presumably try to hit him before he becomes president. Now, I genuinely believe Mr. Smith should not be making those kinds of considerations. I don't know if that's the specific consideration or if, again, he's a very aggressive prosecutor. And more aggressive prosecutors do like to break up the indictments. It's more trials, it's more work, but it's living hell for the person you're trying to prosecute. So at this point, we believe we're going to see a number of other indictments coming. So he started with the biggie, and he's going to go around further indictments on the smaller ones. And if they can prove some of the smaller ones in this trial, then even though they prove it and it goes to conspiracy, if they decide, if he gets 30 years in jail, there's no point in trying any of the other ones. That's another reason. It's an economy of charges. Don't bother charging them with absolutely everything you have. Charge them with the biggies. Charge them with the ones you can hit quickly. Knock him down, and if you knock him down, you don't need to do the others. That's actually also very much the strategy that's being done with the documents. In part, it has to be done that way with the documents because, if I recall, there was 107 documents. He's only being tried on, I want to say, 37 of them. Why? Because they either have to unclassify those documents or view them in an SCI facility, and the jury will have to see them. So if they're not classified, you're talking 12 everyday citizens with no security clearance being given access to top secret material. So he probably sat down with the CIA, FBI, NSA, every relevant agent with each of the documents and figured out what's the most they felt that they could reasonably easily make available to a jury. Did that. Now, they've issued an order to Trump's attorneys and to Trump that these are going to be classified documents, so they can't discuss these documents publicly. All of them are going to be viewed in SCI facilities. Trump will violate that. Trump's going to violate that. Trump's going to violate that. And as soon as he does, he is in real serious trouble. They don't even have to have a trial. They just go straight to a judge, violated the judge's order. He's in contempt and probably in serious fucking trouble. So I will tell you this. I was looking at all of this and looking at the the judge that he drew, and I may get into her bio. Where she clerked. She actually has I think she got her degree in economics, and there's a couple of interesting things. I think what all of us here really care about is how's she going to handle this trial, and the answer is it looks to me like she's fair, but she don't fucking play. So I think. So let's see. I was looking at her bio, and I was looking at her history in dealing with Trump cases and the January 6th cases, and with the January 6th committee with whom she's familiar, because they were the ones who issued the subpoena, which he denied on executive privilege grounds, which she overthrew, saying, again, I just love this. This is contempt. She almost has contempt. I shouldn't say contempt. She's just not impressed. She said, presidents aren't kings, and the defendant is not a president. And it's just like, succinct and to the point on the assertion of executive privilege. So I was looking at all of this, and it became crystal clear to me, Trump is in huge fucking trouble. And I think we've all sort of known that or suspected, but we've seen him wiggle his way out of a whole bunch of things. Jack Smith is a very serious prosecutor. He's not going to stop, and he's going to do this, and he's going to get it. Georgia isn't going to stop, and they're still going to hit him with this, and this one is an unbelievably serious indictment before a very serious judge. He is in deep shit at this point. We have heard reports that he's actually shaken. Now, it's hard to tell. I think when he starts, I will say this, the reference to this being 1930s Germany was kind of a tip-off. He hasn't gone that far into the loony bin in a while. So, but we've had some leaks from his staff, and it's purportedly, it's actually very similar to the way it was in January 6th, where everybody's freaking out going, what do we do? What do we do? And there was just no leadership. There was just dead silence. And they're like, isn't this illegal? Shouldn't there be? And just nobody knows what to do. And basically they're all in shell shock right now, looking at this. The other thing is, somebody had pointed out, there weren't any real surprises in this, in as much as most of this stuff in the indictment we've heard before. But to have it all, and I those of you who saw me read it, I mean, it was just like to see it all in writing, and to see somebody say, yeah, this is what happened, was very shocking. And to realize it's not innuendo anymore. It's not, well, the electors told reporters that they had talked to Giuliani, and that Giuliani had talked about Trump and all this other stuff. And we had connected the dots. We knew, and In Time has been following this for a while. A lot of you guys I'm seeing in the live chat have been there since day one when we were covering all this. It's weird to see it, all the dots like laid out. This is the picture. It's like we knew what the picture looked like. We've known for a little while, but to see that prosecutors are, how would a felony conviction, this is sweet, 70-43-3, snipers on the roof. So you probably want to be careful there today. A felony conviction will have no effect on his presidential run, none whatsoever. You can be a felon and run. You can be a felon and get elected. However, Georgia has decided that we know Georgia's going to indict him. The Georgian grand jury came back with a recommendation of indictment. In Georgia, the grand juries don't do the indictments. I think the grand juries should do the indictments for any number of reasons. It puts the prosecutor out of it, and it makes it really impossible to argue. I'd say it makes it impossible to argue political motives. They're doing that anyway. It's like people are like, this is politically motivated. A grand jury, 12 random people, said that there's a likelihood he did this. That's how the grand jury, it wasn't the prosecutor just sitting there saying, oh, I want to I want to prosecute Trump tomorrow. And either the people making these arguments don't know or understand it, which I think is a distinct possibility, or they don't care, and these aren't mutually exclusive. Probably both. No, he's been indicted by a jury. In Georgia, a jury came back with a recommendation. They just make a recommendation to the DA. The recommendation was a prosecution of over 100 people in connection with the election tampering. And wait, was that over 100 people? Or was that over? I'm trying to remember. It was a lot of people. It was a lot. 100 maybe a bit much, but it wasn't just 5 people. It wasn't just 10 people. They came back with an recommendation for an indictment against a lot of people, and we now know, we knew at the time, because somebody had asked the foreman, they'd said, is Trump on the list? And they said, the list includes everybody you'd expect it to. So, not an official confirmation, but so, that's again, well, we've been piecing together a lot of pictures, right? That's what just made it so weird reading this indictment. Is it, by the way, is it Jerry? Jerry, yeah, call my therapist. Tell him I'm going to sleep with this indictment under my pillow and ask if there's anything. Oh, you're doing it too? Oh, okay. Well, you're the picture of mental health, so I'm sure that's a good idea. I'm going to sleep with the indictment under my pillow. It paints this picture that we've been looking at for a very long time, and to really see it, I got to tell you, there were times I'm questioning my sanity. I'm like, why am I the only one who sees what's going on here? I'm like, is this Alice in Wonderland? Is this looking? And it's like, no, we whatever happens, at least a voice has been given. And when I say whatever happens, I'm not saying that as a caution against him getting out of this. I don't think he's going to get out of this. I'm a little surprised that this didn't break the back of the Republicans. They're circling their wagons around him. Reality is comprehending reality is not written in the Constitution as a requirement for office. What is a requirement is that you had 270 or more. Actually, so it's 271 electoral votes. They say the road to 270. So it's and in parlance, when you're talking about the thank you they say, the road to 270. What that really means is, when they're talking about that, they usually mean, okay, which states are in the road? So any Democrat, Biden's road to 270. He's got California. You always drop California in there, and then you say, okay, which states does he need? How does he do 270? The road to 270 for Trump necessarily runs through Georgia. I have seen no electoral college map whereby Trump wins the presidency without Georgia. So to answer Sweet's question, which Sweet asked a while back, and it's taken me this long to answer it, with a felony conviction, Trump can still run. However, if Trump gets a felony conviction of election tampering in Georgia, something very interesting happens. Georgia law says that anybody who is convicted of tampering with an election cannot be on the ballot in Georgia for anything, including a federal position. That means Trump cannot be on the ballot in Georgia. Trump, right now, there is no road to 270 that does not include Georgia that I've ever seen for Trump. If he's off the ballot in Georgia, I don't know how he wins. Let's drop that for a second. I would like to make something crystal clear. I saw somebody come out earlier and say that they thought there was a 60% chance Trump is going to win the election and be elected president again. I suspect that's a little high. It's not very high. The reality is, and we were going to do a show called Any Given Sunday. We may still. That comes from a former NFL commissioner who also decided to coach a team that universally lost because he was a terrible coach. But on any given Sunday, no matter what the stats say, any team could win and any team could lose. Trump got elected the first time because people said there is no chance that he has to win. And I was fucking arguing with somebody, and I want to remember who it was because I liked the guy. I remember that. But I was sitting here hearing one of the most naive, Trump can't win. I don't see why people are upset about it. I was like, you do realize that's what they said last time. And like, yeah, I said that last time and I was wrong, but this time I'm right. Let's stop pretending that there's sanity in this country. Let's stop pretending that this is necessarily going to... And by the way, I'm sorry. If Trump were innocent of all of these things, as damaging as having him be elected again would be, I am not in favor of tanking a presidency because of how bad a president he's going to be. We're tanking this presidency because this is fucking true. And if you don't know that, you haven't been paying attention. And we're not the ones tanking the presidency. He's the one who broke the law, and it should be a jury and a judge that decide how they're going to deal with it. So Titan had sent this to me, so thank you. It looks like he has been charged and has pled not guilty. So we may only catch him coming out. Which, I mean, this makes sense. He probably came in underground. There were no photos of this. This is a D.C. court, so as much as there was there's an underground way into every single courthouse in the country, every major one. They had it in Florida. In D.C., boy, do they have it. They've got it in D.C. because politicians have to go in and out all the time. Important people have to go in and out all the time, and they have to be able to do it without being accosted in public. So, yeah. So they got him in. He has pled not guilty. We may or may not see footage of it. Let's see. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the live chat. We're going to catch up, but I think that's sort of where it is. So getting convicted in this isn't going to preclude him from running. And by the way, if he's in jail, he can still run from jail, and he can still be president from jail. What he can't do is become president if he's convicted in Florida. Sorry, not in Florida, in Georgia. And I think Georgia may, let's see, I don't know. Titan mentioned something. I think this is correct. He wants to be seen coming out, not in cuffs, and he's going to want to do a soundbite. Whether or not they're going to give him that opportunity, I don't know, but he can't help himself. I tried to read his statement yesterday, and it just got so, when he started talking about Nazi Germany, I laughed my ass off because I was just like, I can't believe he went there. But having said that, it's also terrifying because I agree with him, but for the exact opposite reasons he does. This literally is every, and I've seen people say this. I always used to think it was a joke. Not a joke. I mean, I thought it was a cute little phrase. And there are psychological reasons why this happens. There's absolutely psychological reasons why this happens. I just still didn't take it seriously. But this last year has taught me anything. It's that there's a lot of truth to this, and that's that every single accusation is a confession. If Trump says this guy's working with the Russians, Trump is working with the Russians. If Trump says this guy tried to overthrow an election, Trump is trying to overthrow an election. If Trump says this guy stole my bicycle, Trump stole somebody's bicycle somewhere, I guarantee it. Every accusation is an admission. It's really crazy. And there are a whole bunch of reasons for it. One of them, too, is because especially people who are inherently corrupt assume everybody else is corrupt. And the way to get suspicion off of yourself is to accuse everyone else of whatever it is you're doing. But holy shit, it's like I'm just sort of learning, okay, whatever he next says, start investigating him for that, because I guarantee you he did it. Like Russian propaganda. Well, he's one of those guys who has the Russian mindset. You don't see that here in the U.S. very often. But he's definitely got it. We've talked about what that mindset is. It's a very specific mindset. Well, we got a minute. Support or hang on Monday. Monday, I think it's 9 p.m. Eastern. I know not everyone can make that. But we're gonna try to change up the times. But Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Anybody who's a member on either in time or overtime, anybody who's a patron, anybody who's ever super chatted, anything like that, you are all welcome. You can find out about it in the Discord, in the community tab here on In Time, community tab on Overtime, and on the Patron. And it's a hang. You guys can come. You can chat. You can come. You can actually come in, and we can talk either face to face or whatever. If you want to talk, you can come in and just listen. You can also just hang out in the live chat, engage from there, or whatever you want to do. We're going to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. I'm sure we're going to be talking about Trump. I'm sure you're going to have questions about that. And if you guys want to talk about the direction of the show, if you got questions, concerns, ideas, anything, this is your time to sit and chat with myself. Hopefully, as Andrew will be able to make it, and talk about whatever you guys want to talk about, the show, whatever. So that will be Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern, and you can, it's our supporter hang. Anybody who supports us, and that includes people who volunteer their time too. So that's actually mods. Anybody who wants to come in and talk about the show or talk about whatever, that'll be on Monday. And again, those links, those will be private, but they will be on the Discord for members. They will also be members here. And if you've contributed and you can't get the link, hit me up. And we'll also put it on the patrons. So, and there's still time. Anybody who wants to become a member or join the patron, we really appreciate it. We are funded and run by you guys. So we really appreciate that. Without that, we wouldn't be able to do this show. We do this show both because I think we all feel it's important to look at these things accurately, and that's what we try to do, and because we really enjoy doing it. So we're lucky to be able to do that, but those two alone wouldn't do it. We need the support. Part of that is, yep, absolutely, it's the mods helping and contributing through their time, and everyone else who contributes to the show. So thank you all very much. We're looking forward to that. Tonight at 9 p.m. we are going to have downtime with Commander Lance McMillan and I. That will be on our sister channel on Overtime. So we're going to have downtime. We're going to sit, we're going to chat, and I'm sure we're going to chat about this and a whole bunch of other stuff. Tomorrow, Operator Starsky, 3 p.m. Eastern, we are going to talk about the Ukraine war. A lot has been going on there. We're looking forward to that. We also have Lieutenant General Benjamin Hodges, former number 2 guy at NATO. He was the NATO Supreme Commander of all NATO ground forces worldwide. He was also the U.S. Commander of all U.S. forces in Europe. And he will be back. We had him on before. We're going to have him back twice at the end of this month. We're looking forward to that. And we're also going to see if we can bring on Sunday and Brooks again for another downtime. We'd like to do that. We're going to do that with each of them. And we got a few other guests that we're talking to. So I think we're going to have some good shows coming up. So thank you all very much for your support. That covers the schedule for now and the hang. So again, if anyone's got any questions while we're waiting, we believe at this point he has been charged and has pled not guilty. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the indictments against him. We've had some great questions, so hopefully everybody's clear on what we're looking at. And we oh, all right. So, and we're just going to, let me check out. So that was AP. We're going to take a look again at, same shot coming from, U.S. Now the police are moving, so maybe he's out of there. Let's hear. So, and that's it. I mean, the crowds are a little smaller than I expected, and I was going to say that, yay, that's good news. But the reality is conservatives are circling the wagons around him. There is no indication that the Republican Party is going to try to drop him or get him off of the ticket or anything like that. And what I was saying earlier is I think there has never been a candidate for a major political party who was over 50%, which Trump is, at this stage in the game, who did not win the nomination. At this point, all the projections that I have seen based on just historical data, not on what's the likelihood he gets indicted. So if he gets indicted, things may change. And, well, they're not going to change. If he gets thrown in jail, presumably they may or may not. I don't know. Obviously, it's hard to predict things with him. But so far, based just on the historical data, there is no projection that says that he will not be the nominee from the Republicans. DeSantis is in significant trouble. He's about to get it even worse, I suspect. He's hit Disney with, they have now basically said that Disney is illegally making inclusive business practices. It's actually legal for the state. If he wants to make those arguments, he can. I know it's going to help him with his base, and he may win in the state of Florida. But Disney's going to pack up and move at some point. If I were Disney, what I would be doing right now is having super secret meetings with other states, especially nearby, ones that may have a better climate right now and who we would expect whose climate might actually improve over the next few years, because climate change changes a lot of things. And there are some drier areas that maybe are going to be, and then just say, listen, can you give us what Florida used to give us? And there are states who would absolutely be interested in doing that. So if I were them, I'd be talking to them about that, and I would be fighting him tooth and nail until you settle that deal. And once it's done, you're like, okay, we're done, and leave. And my impression is that at first everyone's going to be like, hey, he won, but it's not going to take too long before it filters out to the fact that Florida just lost its number one source of revenue. So, DeSantis, I think, is overplaying his hand. But so far, it's working. I think he's going to overplay his hand, and I think he's going to get his ass handed to him, but we'll see. Porpoise. Or Disney will put a lot of money into Democratic PACs and quietly unselect DeSantis and his support. That's actually, yeah. I think that's it. Florida. And Florida's education system is about to. So, and then what is it? Texas making it illegal to have a library. So, a number of places in Texas, the schools have been turned into, the libraries have been shut down, and they are retraining the librarians. Why not hire new staff? I understand that you don't want to, but I can't see any librarian I've ever met being a disciplinarian. I'm sorry, I just can't. But nonetheless, apparently, they're stripping libraries, they're stripping all the books, and they're going to turn these things into disciplinary centers. Wow. No, it's more than one. It's like it's not a region and it's not a district, but they've selected a number at random that they're gonna. Well, climate change, areas are getting cold. We need to burn things, and we don't want to burn trees, so we're going to burn books. This would be delicious if Trump just leaves and nobody gets to see him say anything. Everyone suddenly got real quiet. I don't know if he's going to the podium. Let's see. The Associated Press feed is still I don't know why. The Associated Press is just showing the back of the building. Yeah, I'll tweet from the plane. Exactly. Trump did say earlier today, too, that to be indicted is his greatest honor and privilege, and just all that other BS. Yeah. Oh, God. That's a good question. Is it called Xing? I notice you still go to twitter.com. He's never going to get x.com. So it's still Twitter, but it's not. And nobody's not going to say, nobody's going to change tweeting. In fact, tweeting is it's like Kleenex, right? Everybody says, could I have a Kleenex? They know what you're talking about. They'll just hand you, facial tissue. Nobody cares about the brand. It's all Kleenex now. Same thing with Xerox. I Xeroxed this. Well, Xerox may not have been the manufacturer of that copy, but it's all Xerox. Well, it's all tweeting now. Trump doesn't use Twitter. He's on Truth Social, but it's tweeting. We all call it tweeting. I'm certainly not going to say he's telling the truth. Changing the name to X is one of the dumbest branding moves Musk could have. I don't even. He's truthing. Okay, let's see what's going on. Looks like somebody's coming out. Imagine if you had like any other regular business today, you had to pay like a parking fine or something. It's just like, this is just a regular courthouse. So again, and we talked a little bit about the judge that he drew. She is a real serious person. In fact, actually, I should let me see if I can get a picture of her up here. But she don't play, and she handed his ass to him on. Is that her? Yeah, that's her. She handed his ass to him on the it wasn't the documents thing. It was the executive privilege. She is really just unimpressed by Trump. That's not going to want to. Well, I suppose no, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I can. Not going to work. That might work. Let me see if I can. We're going to see if we can get a picture of her in here. Scroll through real quick, and yeah. It's always turn. Oh, and it's the New York Times going to give me a hard time. I will get that picture up in a second.
They're taking pictures of us. Ya está saliendo, está saliendo.
They're taking pictures of us. Of course, they're in public, acting like an idiot.
He's leaving. That would be him leaving, right? Good. This guy's been fucking.
Ya, vámonos.
No, this does not look like an AP. Okay, so this is Reuters. Yeah, okay, it's a press vehicle. I can see the reflection off the glass of the press pass. So this is a press vehicle. So that would suggest to me that he is now out of the courthouse, so he did not make a statement. So all of those people sitting there, nothing. So this is the press vehicle. My assumption is and these are the vans that we saw earlier. So it looks like he did get out. We must have missed it, or they didn't show it. But that's definitely the motorcade. No word on whether he was cuffed. No word on mug shots. No word on anything. We'll get all that shortly. But honestly, truth be told, I mean, it looks like, and that may have been the best thing. Not let him speak. So we had talked before about. Let's just see here. Stand by for a second. I'm going to confirm with All right. It does look like he's left the area. Nobody's reporting it, but Reuters has it. AP does not. Neither does ABC. It does appear as if he's left the area. So I want to get the picture of the judge, but can we hear at least still what's going on outside? Okay, no, that's who is that? That's the Independent. That's USA Today. Good job, guys. Way to stay on it. Trump departs federal courthouse. Yep. So he is out, and AP is now. So we believe this is AP showing a court building. Nothing is happening, so we're just going to sit and watch this building because I shouldn't be making fun of AP. They like, I love AP. But having said that, it's a building. Why are they the only ones that don't realize that he's left? The image of the judge is taking a little longer than I would like, but we will get that. And then we're going to just do a rundown of where we are, and then we may call it a wrap. Not much happened, but we did get at least to cover with you what we think is going to happen and what the consequences are. He's pled not guilty, which is obviously exactly what we expected. We'll just close that out. There's no way that's So he's almost certainly going to the airport, and then he's just going to head home. I'm sure we'll get the details later. No violence, no rioting, no speech, but we did get to cover what the potential consequences are. I do think that he's got a very decent shot at winning. He's going to win the Republican nomination. Whether or not he can win the presidency is going to hinge in large part on what Georgia does. We're going to be following that. The Georgia indictment is going to be soon, I think. I think it's going to be very soon. His judge in this case, that's her. Again, every time I try to mention her name, I butcher it, so I may just stay out of it. But she was an Obama appointee. She was nominated 95-0, or she was appointed. She was confirmed 95-0 by the Senate. She. Unlike Judge Cannon, who has basically very little experience in trying criminal cases. One sec. This judge, Chutkan, I think I got it right this time. Chutkan, has a lot of experience running trials. She was also a public defender, and which is the toughest job that nobody will ever appreciate you for. She wrote that she had tried between 40 and 45 cases to a verdict, and then was the lead defense attorney in many involving serious felonies such as homicide, first-degree sexual assault, and kidnapping. So she's a very experienced judge. She had also, she testified before Congress. She said that she thought good judges had to be open-minded, fair, and prepared, and that impartiality was bedrock. She was unimpressed with Trump's suggestion that he didn't have to turn material over to the January 6th committee. She said that the events of January 6th were, quote, an attempt of a violent mob to prevent the orderly and peaceful transfer of power from one administration to the next, and that their efforts, quote, soiled and defaced the halls of the Capitol. She is the only judge who delivered harsher sentences to the defendants than even the prosecutors recommended. She didn't do that in every case, but she did it in a number of them. She said, quote, the country is watching to see what the consequences are. There have to be consequences. And then I want to try to find the quote. I'm sure I can remember it if I have to. Yeah, I'm going to have to. So when talking about how Trump wanted to keep his evidence from the January 6th committee, she said, presidents are not king, and the defendant is no president. He wasn't at the time. So, yeah, unimpressed. So I'm going to quickly check the live chat, and then I think we're probably going to wrap it up. I doubt we're not really expecting much else here. Give me 1 second. I just want to make sure that I'm checking to make sure we've got everything. It looks to me like we're good. So I'm gonna wrap this up. I don't think there's gonna be any audio. If there's anything left here, it's just the okay. Even let's just see. Okay, everyone's just showing this shot now. So I think that's it now. Is it? Oh, AP caught up. Yay! Good job, guys. All right. So let me. We're gonna get this through. I got one more thing, and then we will. Yeah. Wait a minute. That didn't. No. Okay. Good. So. Oh, there's always something. Where did? I think we got it. So, as I said before, we've also got tonight Downtime. That's going to be on our sister channel Overtime. We're going to be, Commander Lance McMillan and I, we're probably going to be talking this, any number of other things. Yep, there you go. We don't know if he got a mugshot. We don't know if he was... my suspicion, I will say this, if she's a good judge, my hope is she did the following. If she's a good judge, this is what I would expect her to do, which is to say he's going to get a mugshot, he's going to be brought in cuffs, but we can do it privately. He doesn't need to, come in through you bring him in through the underneath and so on and so forth. He's going to be treated like everyone else, but because of the scrutiny, bring him in through the back and leave it at that. So I think that's what we're looking at. We'll see. And Starsky's in Donbass. Ooh, Jesus. Okay. So yeah, we can't wait to see Starsky tomorrow tonight, 9:30 tonight, Eastern Standard on Overtime. We are going to be talking about all sorts of stuff, this included as well, with Commander Lance McMillan. Tomorrow, Starsky, 3 p.m. Eastern, and our supporter hang for anybody who's ever super chatted, any of our supporters who are members, anybody who is a patron, and or anybody who's volunteered their time as a mod can come hang out. You can chat with me. You can just watch. You can be in the live chat, whatever you want to do, and we'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. That will be Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern. So I am going to just double confirm that. I don't want to be sitting here getting the wrong time for you guys. So it is. Oh, I did get the wrong time. This has it as. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to check the exact time on that. In fact, actually, you know what? I could probably check it right now on this, because that's a good question. The normal time is 2 to 3 is normally when we do it, but I moved it to 9 p.m. because more people were able to make it that way. So on my calendar, it says 3 because it's always at 2 to 3, but we moved this one to 9 so that people could make it. So I'm going to stick with 9. I think it's 9. I didn't update it on the calendar. 9 p.m. Patron Hangout on Monday. So thank you all for joining us, and we will update everything in the Discord if and when things change. Otherwise, we will see you tonight, 9:30 Eastern Standard for Downtime. Thank you for joining us.